First of all, when you start the school year, learning names is the most important thing. You don't want to start the school year and get into content, get into the meat of what you need to be doing academically, and then you don't even know the kids' names. That's a big problem. And then you have to see, for example, who in the room has maybe common names. There might be some relationships in the room, maybe some sibling relationships, or just somebody that has a similar name as someone else. You want to be aware of that, not just for the students themselves, but for yourself as a teacher. You want to make sure that you know who's in the room, not just looking at a roster. And it's one thing to look at a roster and see, oh, okay, this is Smith and then there's another Smith. Like, that's one thing, but it's a whole other thing to experience the kids live in real time. And then something as simple as learning the names can trip you up if you're not fully aware of who's in the room. You don't even know, you haven't even like been in the energy of the space. So that's very important. And the other thing is you want to make sure that kids are ready to learn. Kids are ready to learn. Part of learning is, or doing anything cognitively demanding, right? Especially if it's new, if it's a new concept, if it's a new idea, if it's new material, something that you're not familiar with, you want to make sure that the brain is primed for learning. Students are primed for learning. You don't want to just boom start, like it's too rushed, it's just too fast. There's no connection, you're just not meshing together as a group, as a unit. You're just you're gonna feel like at some point you're gonna feel like you're dragging. You might get through the first couple of days, weeks, maybe even months, but it's not going to last very long. Okay? It's not going to stick when you haven't created that bond, you haven't created that enmeshment within the classroom. That's very important. Not just with you. Obviously, you want the kids to be comfortable, even if they know each other already. It's a new year. It's a new dynamic. They're a new person in some ways. Okay, they're a year older, a grade older. All right. So you want to make sure that you create an environment that's primed for learning, where you have to create that predisposition for learning. And that starts with relationship building. That starts with a certain level of comfort, where the students are comfortable, not just not just in the room. Anybody can walk into a room, but they're comfortable with you as the instructor. Okay, they're comfortable with you and what you plan to do with them. They're comfortable with your intentions, right? And they trust you. They trust your ability. They trust your competence. But they also trust that you care for them, right? So when things get, rough, when you hit rough waters, which will happen, life happens to everybody. Okay, and when you're in the trying to swim the oceans of learning, and then you're in the middle of the year, kids are dealing with issues in their own personal life, their academic life, grades are flying. So there has to be a certain level of comfort there. There has to be a certain level of trust to be able to have those conversations of, I'm not doing well in this area. What can I do to improve? I failed this test. What happened there? How can, there has to be room for conversations like that to happen. And you don't know what conversations are going to come up and with whom. So it's up to you to prepare the ground to lay the foundation and make sure that the foundation is solid, where kids are comfortable with you as the instructor. They're comfortable receiving information from you. You could have all the knowledge in the world, that doesn't mean you're able to pass it on. Okay, and it doesn't mean you're able to pass it on to them necessarily. So that has to be cultivated, it has to be built. Now, you don't have forever, of course, to lay down the foundation. At some point, you need to start. But in the beginning, you have to set an intention. You have to be intentional about connecting with the kids outside of the content area, connecting with the kids outside of whatever it is that you plan to teach them, just with them as an individual, as a person. Because before there was any content, there was them. Before there were grades, there was them. Before there was school, they existed. So it's important to make them feel valuable. Not just, oh, you're valuable as long as you're a good student. No, you're valuable as long as you're you. And it doesn't mean there won't be any work to do, right? Any work to do down the road towards, relationship building is a lifelong journey. As long as you're connected with that person, as long as you have to deal with that person, you're always getting to know, you're always going deeper, you're always learning more about them. But there has to be you have to have that intention at first. Just communicate that through your actions and through your words, that's what you want to achieve with them. But also have those conversations, play those games, enjoy those moments where the environment itself feels light, it feels stress-free, it feels welcoming, where kids can just come in and be kids, be themselves. Also, it gives you a lot of information, it gives you a lot of data, just seeing the kids outside of the content. Because, to be honest, a lot of kids, especially these days, they don't like school. They have to come to school, but they don't actually like school. They don't like coming to school. So long as you are talking general, they might love it. Okay, so long as they're just interacting, playing games, having fun, that's fine. That's all great. But the minute you start content, now they're triggered. Okay, now you're dealing with a whole other, you just open a whole can of worms, and it's gonna open regardless. There's nothing you can do about it. That's the nature of the job. But the only difference is now, after you've laid down the foundation, you're ready to open that can of worms. You're ready for whatever comes. And it might be, it might still be ugly. It might still be difficult and just challenging to handle, depending on the student, or depending on the case or what's going on. And when we say case, we mean the package of the student. Okay, it's not just the individual student, but everything that individual student comes with. Everything within their background, everything within their home life, academic life, social life, everything that has to do with them. So the package of that student. Now you're ready to open that can of worms and just deal with it for whatever's inside of it. You're ready to tackle that because you've set the foundation already. Now, instead of being this level, maybe level 10 problem, now it's more like a level 8 or 7. It's more manageable, right? Because you already created an atmosphere. You already would have created an atmosphere where the kid feels comfortable with you, feels comfortable learning from you. So whatever thing goes south, it can always be redirected. The train derails, you can always get it back. Sometimes they even get back on track before you have to say anything. There's so many things that you don't even notice as a teacher that happen behind the scenes, because you're dealing with 10,000 things at the same time. You think everything's happening and everything is against you, but by laying that foundation behind the scenes, you don't know what problems are getting resolved by themselves sort of automatically without you having to say anything, just because you would have done the preliminary work, okay, before proceeding. So this is not, there's nothing wasteful about this time. This is doing this work, doing this pre-work before you even start your class is paramount. Like, you can't miss that. It's vital. It's critical to the success of you, your students, and the year overall.